Right now, at this very moment, there is a version of you already living the life you've been chasing. To that version, it doesn't feel extraordinary or life-changing. It's simply an ordinary day. That reality has become so normal that he hardly notices it anymore, just like you rarely think about the air you breathe or the ground beneath your feet. He isn't a distant future self that you have to struggle for years to become. He isn't waiting somewhere at the end of a difficult journey. He already exists now, just as real as everything you can touch. Tonight, I want to show you the doorway into that reality, because the truth is, it has never been locked. Before we talk about techniques, we need to change the way we see reality itself. Everything depends on understanding this first. Your senses present a world that appears slow, solid, and governed by time. They convince you that every effect must follow a visible cause, and that success only arrives after enough effort. From childhood, you've been taught that this physical world is the foundation of everything. But what if it isn't? The world you see is not the source, it's the result. The true origin lies beyond what your eyes can perceive. That source is imagination, not idle fantasy or empty daydreams, but the creative power from which every visible experience continually emerges.
William Blake expressed it beautifully when he said that imagination is the eternal reality, while the physical world is only its faint reflection. Don't treat those words as poetry alone. Think of them as a blueprint explaining how life truly unfolds. What appears around you is the echo. Imagination is the voice creating it. From that understanding comes an idea that changes everything. What you desire already exists. It isn't something you must build piece by piece through endless effort, nor is it a reward reserved for the day you finally earned it. It already exists in its complete form as one possibility among countless realities that all exist together beyond the limits of the physical world. Nothing is waiting to be manufactured. Nothing is missing. Your real purpose has never been to create your dream from nothing. Your purpose is to select it. You aren't gathering materials to build your future. You're choosing the reality where your dream is already complete and aligning yourself with it. Think about it this way. Imagine that every possible version of your life exists right now. There is a version of you whose career has already reached the level you want. Another enjoys perfect health and effortless strength. Another has already found the deep relationship you've been hoping for. These aren't fantasies. They are complete realities existing within the timeless awareness that imagination can access.
The only question is this: which version of yourself are you living as today? Which identity are you accepting every time you think, react, and feel? Which version are your habitual emotions quietly confirming? Imagination becomes the bridge that lets you choose, not by wishing or hoping, but by deliberately experiencing your desire as if it has already happened. When you imagine your fulfilled desire with enough sensory richness and genuine feeling that you stop watching the scene and begin living inside it, you haven't created something new. You've simply connected yourself to the reality that was already there. Think of an old radio with a tuning dial. The station you're looking for has been broadcasting the entire time. Turning the dial doesn't create the music. It only adjusts your receiver until it matches the signal that already exists. That small movement of the dial is exactly what assuming your wish fulfilled accomplishes. This is also why feeling matters far more than mental pictures alone. A clear image without genuine inner conviction is like a radio hovering near the correct station. The music comes and goes as static keeps interrupting the signal. Feeling is what locks you onto the station completely. Not exaggerated excitement, not forced emotion, just the calm, natural certainty that settles inside you when being this new version of yourself feels normal. The moment that quiet confidence becomes your natural state, the connection is complete.
The moment you claim a new reality within yourself, the outer world begins reflecting that decision. It has no choice but to mirror what your consciousness has already accepted. This brings us to the part that often challenges the logical mind the most: time. In everyday life, time appears to move in a straight line. The past is over, the present is unfolding, and the future hasn't arrived yet. It feels so obvious that questioning it seems impossible. But that sequence belongs only to the physical world, the world of appearances and visible effects. It doesn't govern the deeper realm of imagination, which is the true source behind everything your senses eventually witness. In that deeper reality, every possible state already exists together in one eternal present. What we label as yesterday, today, and tomorrow all exist at once within this timeless awareness. This isn't just an interesting idea. It has a powerful, practical meaning. When you enter the feeling that your desire has already been fulfilled, you are not planting something that may grow someday in the future. You are stepping into a reality that already exists in the eternal now. Your desire isn't being created. It's already complete. The only thing left is for the physical world, which always follows consciousness, to reveal what has already been accepted within. This is what it truly means to live from the end. It isn't about waiting for your dream to happen. It's about occupying the state where, inwardly, it has already happened. Now let me be completely clear, because many sincere people practice these teachings and become discouraged when nothing seems to change. They deserve an honest explanation. There is an enormous difference between wanting something and feeling as though it is already yours. That difference changes everything. When you wish for something, you're automatically placing it outside yourself. Every wish silently says, "I don't have this yet." Even if your intentions are sincere, constantly wishing reinforces the experience of not having what you want. Repeating that feeling over and over eventually makes the absence seem real. Living from the end is completely different. It quietly declares, "This is already mine." It doesn't deny what the physical world currently shows. Instead, it refuses to let external appearances decide your internal identity. You begin thinking, feeling, and responding like someone whose desire is no longer a dream, because it has already become part of their life. If you've spent time visualizing or repeating affirmations without seeing meaningful change, ask yourself an honest question. Were you imagining your desired life while still secretly feeling that it was missing? Were you speaking positive words while doubt remained stronger than belief? If so, that wasn't living from the end. It was simply wishing in a more sophisticated form. The answer isn't repeating the same process more often. The answer is making the inner shift until the fulfilled state genuinely feels like your natural home. The instruction to pray without ceasing is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean endlessly asking for what you want. It points to something much deeper. It describes an ongoing inner attitude that stays with you throughout the day. A quiet confidence that what you desire is already yours, even while your outer circumstances are still rearranging themselves. That steady inner conviction is the real creative act. It remains consistent whether visible results appear quickly or take more time. The delay is never proof that the principle isn't working. It simply reflects the natural unfolding of what has already been established within. This is where true detachment becomes essential, and many people misunderstand what it actually means. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about your desire. It means you stop anxiously searching for evidence every few minutes. Constantly checking the outside world for proof only keeps your attention fixed on what seems absent, and that reinforces the very state you're trying to leave behind. Real stillness isn't inactivity. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows the inner work has already been done. There is no need for constant reassurance because they understand that reality always follows consciousness. Once the inner state has changed, the outer world is simply catching up. You don't plant a seed and then dig it up every morning to see if it's growing. You give it what it needs, then trust the natural law that brings life into visible form. The same principle applies here. Once you truly know that your desire has already been accepted in the only place where creation begins,
The urge to constantly check for evidence fades on its own. You don't have to fight it. It simply loses its purpose. Something inside you changes. Restless wanting is replaced by quiet confidence. Instead of hoping, you know. And from that knowing comes a powerful freedom. As Neville often taught, you become immune to discouragement. It's not because challenges disappear, but because you stop treating temporary circumstances as the final truth. They are only reflections, and once you recognize them as reflections, they lose the power to shake your faith in what you've already accepted within. Another misunderstanding often appears at this point. Some people assume this teaching encourages passivity, as though you should sit back and wait for life to deliver everything to you. That isn't the message at all. What changes isn't whether you act, it's the place your actions come from. When you genuinely live in the feeling that your wish has already been fulfilled, not for a few inspiring moments, but as your natural inner state, you'll find yourself taking action without forcing it. Your decisions begin to feel natural instead of desperate. Instead of struggling against life, you'll notice opportunities appearing almost effortlessly, and you'll feel drawn toward them without overthinking every step. Why does this happen? Because by accepting the fulfilled state, you've aligned yourself with a deeper intelligence that sees possibilities your logical mind cannot yet recognize. It notices connections, timing, and opportunities that remain invisible when you're acting from fear or lack. This is the deeper meaning behind seeking the kingdom first. Build the inner state before anything else. Make it real through feeling and persistence. Then allow your actions to grow naturally from that new identity. They require far less struggle than the frantic effort that comes from believing something important is still missing. A sincere question often follows. What if someone else wants the very thing I want? If I receive it, does someone else have to lose? Many people quietly limit their dreams because they're afraid of taking too much or leaving too little for others. They feel guilty for wanting abundance, success, or happiness. But that fear is based on misunderstanding how creation truly works. The source from which every possibility emerges is not limited. It contains infinite potential. Scarcity belongs only to the physical world, where resources appear restricted. But imagination, the true source behind experience, is limitless. It can fulfill every sincere desire without reducing anyone else's opportunity. Think about lighting one candle from another. The first flame doesn't become weaker. Instead, there is simply more light than before. The creative source operates in exactly the same way. Even when two people seem to want the same job, the same relationship, or the same opportunity, what they truly seek is the experience those things represent. They long for fulfillment, security, love, freedom, purpose, or joy. Those qualities are never in short supply. Life has countless ways of expressing them, often through outcomes neither person could have predicted. When you choose your fulfilled state, you aren't taking anything away from someone else. You're selecting the version of reality that belongs to you from an infinite field that can never be exhausted. That is why shrinking your dreams serves no one. Every time you make yourself smaller because you believe there isn't enough good to go around, you teach your own consciousness that abundance is limited. And consciousness faithfully reflects whatever belief you continue to accept as true. So let go of the fear that you must settle for less. Allow yourself to desire freely. Think bigger than you normally would. There is no need to apologize for your dreams when they arise from a source that has no limits. Now, let's move beyond the specific things you may be pursuing, whether it's wealth, love, better health, meaningful work, or any other goal. Because when you understand the deeper desire beneath all of those individual ambitions, you often transform every area of your life at the same time. The practice of assuming your wish is already fulfilled isn't limited to changing external circumstances. It works just as deeply with your inner world. the peace you feel, the joy you carry, and the love that shapes your daily experience, no matter what is happening around you. If what you're truly searching for is not another possession or achievement, but a different way of being, then begin there. Step into the feeling of peace. Accept the identity of someone who naturally lives with love, confidence, and ease, instead of fear and struggle. Think about how peace actually arrives. You don't argue yourself into it. You don't wait until life gives you permission to feel calm. Instead, you remember, even for a brief moment, what it feels like when everything is okay. You let that feeling settle into your body. Your breathing becomes slower, your shoulders relax, and the tension leaves your face. If you remain in that state consistently, it stops feeling like something you're trying to create. It simply becomes who you are. Live from these inequalities with the same commitment you would give any other desire. As they become your natural state, you'll notice your entire experience beginning to change. Not because the outside world changed first, but because the consciousness through which you're experiencing life has shifted. Something else usually follows. As you move from anxiety into genuine inner contentment, many of the things you once desperately chased begin arriving almost effortlessly. They no longer feel like urgent problems that must be solved before you can be happy. Instead, they become natural additions to a life that already feels complete. This isn't losing interest in your dreams. It's discovering something even greater. You've connected with the deeper source from which every desire first arose. From that place, success, love, health, abundance, and opportunity stop feeling like distant prizes. They become natural expressions of the person you've already become. And that brings us to the deepest truth behind everything we've explored. When this teaching says that everything you desire is already yours, it isn't simply promising that your wishes will arrive more quickly. It's pointing toward a much greater realization that everything you've been searching for outside yourself has always existed within your own creative nature. The ancient words, "The kingdom is within you," are far more than comforting poetry. They describe where every experience truly begins. The love you seek, the prosperity you desire, the healing, the confidence, and the peace you've been trying to find in the world all exist first within the creative power that you already are. Your purpose was never to chase these things across time or distance. Your purpose has always been to recognize them, choose them, and align your consciousness with them through genuine feeling and unwavering assumption. When this understanding becomes more than an occasional insight, when it becomes the foundation of how you live every day, everything changes. You no longer see yourself as someone asking life for permission to receive. You recognize yourself as the creative power expressing itself through your own awareness, free to select from limitless possibilities instead of hoping the universe will eventually reward you. At that point, desire itself takes on an entirely new meaning. You no longer desire because you feel empty. You desire because abundance naturally expresses itself through you. Like an endless spring that never worries about running dry, you understand that your creative source is infinite. There is no fear of losing it because it can never be exhausted. That is the true promise behind this teaching. It isn't only that your goals are moving toward you, although they certainly can. It's that you'll come to know, not as an inspiring idea, but as your everyday experience, that everything